let's get into some comic book reviews. So a lot of great things to talk about this week. We got the Absolute Batman, the Poison Ivy issue. We got the finale to Ultimate Spider-Man. We got a new DC Vertigo title. Great stuff from Marvel with Captain America 7. Great stuff from Image Comics as well with Exquisite Corpses. A Nightwing finale for the arc. A lot of great stuff, man. So let's get into it and do some comic book reviews. First things first, the Batman, Absolute Batman with the Poison Ivy dude. So sick, right? So one of my favorite villain origin stories in the Absolute Universe right now is this Poison Ivy. I thought it was so compelling to kind of see she had all the best intentions, trying to help her mom, right? So as a mama's boy, that hits extra hard. So this version of Absolute, Poison Ivy is just, she's kind of savage, man. So for some reason, this building has been covered in all sorts of weird plant life or whatever, and it's kind of odd. So Absolute Batman goes in to investigate, and it looks like Poison Ivy, whatever she's capable of doing, it's turning these police officers that were sent in previous to Batman, it's turning them into sort of zombies. So he's got to deal with that. We get some cutaways to Absolute Batman as he's, just walking around the city during the daytime. He's trying to check up on his friends, make sure they're okay. It seems like the citizens of Gotham are getting more and more, energized and inspired by this Absolute Batman, which is something that he didn't quite expect. So that was interesting to see. More cutaways to this Absolute Poison Ivy and her origin story. It looks like Bruce visits Joe Chill every single week, I think it said, and it seems like Joe Chill, he said, "Hey, I'm not coming anymore to visit with you," and that kind of pisses this version of Bruce off. This was cool too. We're getting more details on Commissioner Gordon and Bruce's mom and kind of the interplay between them, and potentially some like darkness, some dark secrets that the mom is sort of hiding from Bruce. So we'll have to see that play out. Of course, the very end of this issue, we get that fully kind of realized and we know what we're in for. As we see the character design of this Absolute Poison Ivy, she's cool. This one's actually a clone though. That's not the main one. Bruce tries to flamethrower her. Turns out that that's not even the main one. This is the main one, dude. So wow. Great character design, one of the most intimidating and scary character designs in the Absolute Universe for sure. And yeah, it seems like right here, she can do this with her body or whatever, so that's fun for Bruce to try to deal with. And then at the very end, of course, we get a tease to the Court of Owls, the Absolute Court of Owls. What an insane issue. It's just Scott Snyder just keeping it going. I thought the guest artist was really solid as well. Eric Canet. So yeah, as the guest artist, I think he nailed it. So yeah, if you ever want him to be a guest artist for a future issue, fine by me, man. But yeah, what a great issue there. Let's talk about Ultimate Spider-Man. So this was the finale to the series, and I think that it landed, like it stuck the landing, but I'm just like, man, overall, I really do think that this series has been kind of a disappointment. First off, I gotta say, I mean, listen, I don't mind guest artists, but I really do not like Messina's art style. I don't think it matches what Marco Cocchetto does, and it's a little bit jarring to see it flip back and forth, like right here, okay? You got Marco Cocchetto, and then over here, you've got Messina. It's like, dude, okay, why'd you do that? And if you're gonna delay this issue and keep delaying it or whatever, couldn't you just let Marco Cocchetto just take the time that he needed to close it out? I just thought it was just so disappointing to see that this wasn't fully Marco Cocchetto, and I know that's me being I don't know, I'm like greedy or something like that, but man, it's just for the send-off for the series, I didn't want to see any Messina artwork. All right, is that too much to ask for? But I don't know. I do think that they landed, they stuck the landing. The whole, like, if you think about it, right, the whole 24 issues, it's been Peter Parker getting ready to fight Wilson Fisk, and we finally got it. He beat him. And then it turns out that the Wilson Fisk, he got tricked into jumping over the edge by this Mr. Negative. So now they're both dead or whatever. All right, so that kind of loop is closed. He's still kind of, he didn't solve the Maker issue, and that's what he's doing in the Ultimate Endgame event. The fact that this came out after the start of Ultimate Endgame, it's like, dude, the whole thing is just a mess, bro. So I just need all the Ultimate series to end. I don't care about him anymore. I never felt that attached to this version of Peter. He's a dad, but I really wanted more dad stuff. We didn't even get like that much of it, I feel. You got stuff with J. Jonah Jameson and like the the Uncle Ben, and like they're doing the newspaper stuff. Like that's cool, and I get the behind the scenes messaging on you know, the truth to fight power and all that stuff John Hickman's trying to do. But I just think the series as a whole was a little bit disappointing. Let me know what you think about it in the comments, because I really feel like I might be in the minority. I feel like a lot of people enjoy this series, but man, I just think that it wasn't bad by any means, but the potential that it had, it did not meet that potential even close, dude. So yeah, let me know what you think about Ultimate Spider-Man as it's the series is wrapping up. I was thinking about doing a retrospective video on like the whole thing, but one, I'm not smart enough to do that. I'm not like a video essay kind of guy. But then two, it's just like, I don't know, man. I want to talk about stuff that I like, and this really disappointed me, so I kind of don't want to talk about it. But yeah, let me know what you think about it in the comments. Paul Dev says, the Kingpin and Mr. Negative death is probably my biggest problem with that ending. Felt so lazy just to kill each other. That's what I'm saying, dude. It's like what was the point of this Ultimate Spider-Man series, right? Like, I do like the overall message of, you know, like Peter Parker was like thinking that he was missing something in his life, and it turns out that, you know, when he had the opportunity to be Spider-Man, he's like, oh, this is what I was missing in my life. It turns out that wasn't. He just like, you know, like was able to fall back on like the love that he had with his wife and his kids and stuff. And like that was the thing that completed him at the end of the series or something like that, right? But I don't know, dude. I'm just like, what was the point of the series? Like, you got all the stuff with like Mole Man and like the Mysterio part, and like I feel like Green Goblin's story just kind of ends in a weird spot. So I don't know, man. I just think that something happened with this Ultimate Spider-Man series, because like once you're in the Kraven's Last Hunt kind of part of it, that was like the peak of it, and then it quickly took a nosedive. So yeah, let me know what you think about it in the comments if I'm totally off base. Let's keep it going with the comic book reviews though, and let's talk about End of Life issue 1, new DC Vertigo title from Steve Pugh as the artist and Kyle Starks on the writing duties. This was an interesting story. So we got this guy, his name is Eddie Stallion, I believe. He's the son of a very famous hitman. It turns out there was a job that Eddie Stallion went on, he was hired to do, and it turns out he was hired to rob one of the big wigs in the hitman assassination sort of organization, right? So you're not supposed to rob members of this organization or you're going to be on the shit list. So Eddie Stallion makes that mistake, and he immediately says, all right, well, I got to go run away. And so he jumps on a train and tries to, you know, get to the last place that he believes this organization can find, or last place they'll think of. And that's back home in his small town. So he's hanging out there talking with the gas station lady. And it's very apparent that, you know, Kyle Starks and Steve Pugh, like they're very skilled at doing comedy writing and comedy comic book sequential art and stuff like that, right? Like as you're reading this, you can just look around, like there's always like funny little bits, and then the background and stuff like that in the art. Kyle Starks has really funny comedic writing. He excels at that. So if that sounds like an interesting kind of setup to a story, definitely check out End of Life. I thought it was a solid issue number 1. We meet his dad, the famous assassin guy. He's like, hey, I told you never to come back, but all right, I guess you're my son, so we're going to be hanging out. Eddie fills him in and he says, hey, they're going to be coming after me at some point. So we know that the assassin organization, they're going to be coming pretty hard for this Eddie character, trying to get all the money back from the bigwig. And that's kind of where the issue ends. End of Life issue 1. I think it's a pretty promising setup. I need to very quickly see more about this Eddie character. Like, he so far is not he's not a nice character. He's kind of an asshole, and I don't know, he's not a lovable asshole right now, right? So I need to see kind of some more evolution to this character and see if he's got some more layers, I guess, than it seems like he does on the surface. But it's kind of like a John Wick sort of story. Like John Wick if he was an asshole, or like John Wick mixed with like Johnny Bravo or something. That's kind of the vibes that it's given off. So yeah, if that sounds interesting to you, check out End of Life, a new DC Vertigo title from Kyle Starks and Steve Pugh. Next up, we got Captain America number 7. Listen, dude, I'm loving this Captain America series from Chip Zdarsky. It's all about Captain America in this current arc. He's going back into Latveria after the events of One World Under Doom. He's trying to help S.H.I.E.L.D. right now. He's trying to help them go into Doom's fortress and potentially get some weapons out of the stronghold so they don't fall into the wrong hands. You know, Steve believes that that's like a good fight to have. The U.S. government originally wanted him to do that as part of their behalf, but, you know, Steve Rogers decided to do it as part of S.H.I.E.L.D. instead. He's kind of overworking for the U.S. government. He understands that He doesn't want to be a tool to be used by the US government, sort of thing. So he fights off against the Red Hulk, though. The Red Hulk is doing this as part of the US government's. He's like the liaison for the US government side of this operation. So they're going to be butting heads. You know, Red Hulk doesn't want to be taking commands from, Steve. And we're going through, it looks like there are a bunch of different factions set up in Latveria right now after the fall of Victor Von Doom. There's like the pacifist group that believes that, they should be stopping all fighting or whatever. Turns out that the leader of that organization is the daughter of Victor Von Doom, I believe. And then we know that there's a rebel group that is trying to take it over by military force. So their tactics are a lot like Dr. Doom's. And they might be seen as sort of the villains in this situation. And then there's sort of the, I guess, like the good guy group. So Steve's not really sure like which faction he wants to help. And yeah, it's kind of like this thing that weighs on Steve. It's like this country, like really, like, do you depose their leader? Maybe you only make way for like an evil worse person to step into their place. So it's kind of this interesting situation that Steve has put him in. And I like that it follows the first arc. It's kind of like an echo, like, yo, Steve, you didn't finish the job all the way back in when you first came out of the ice in the first arc from Chip Zdarsky. And you have this second chance to sort of rectify and correct your mistakes. So what are you going to do? And I loved all these moments where Steve is talking to some of the citizens of Latveria, just trying to get their point of view. And I thought that was like super smart from Chip Zdarsky to have Steve do to try to understand their point of view. And yeah, it looks like right here, yeah, Alina Von Doom, and I need you to help me save Latveria, Steve Rogers. So the pacifist group is going to say, hey, Steve, you got to help us take our country back. And we'll see if Steve kind of joins them on that mission, or if he's still going to be just doing the mission that he was sent by S.H.I.E.L.D. to complete. So yeah, interesting stuff with this Captain America series. I think that Chip Zdarsky, he's just nailing it now. And I think that the art, even though it's not Valerio Schiti, the artist from the first arc, I think it's still pretty solid. So yeah, keeping it going with that great Captain America series. Nightwing number 135. I thought this was a solid issue. It closed out this third arc from Dan Waters. We got Dexter Soy, kind of like his swan song, his last interior art on this Nightwing title. And we know that Nightwing is inside the fifth dimension with the help of Martian Manhunter. He's trying to rescue all of these kids and try to stop this evil clown guy. Where's a good picture of him? This guy here named the Zanny. And the Zanny kind of reminds me of It, right? So just this evil clown guy that has like a historical, he's like tied to, Bloodhaven in a historical sense. And he's just sort of tricking all these kids into, getting kidnapped or whatever, drawing them in. So Nightwing has to go into the fifth dimension and kind of stop them. So I thought this arc was really solid. It really, Nightwing being, his origin and stuff like that, like he really has a soft spot for kids. So to see him go in and try to save them all was really cool. And then we know that this Nightwing Prime guy from the first arc, one of the Teddy Gang kids, he got some unusual powers, fifth dimensional powers in the second arc with the help of Nightmite, I believe. And yeah, so we know that he is actually going to be down in the fifth dimension. He's going to be fighting this Zanny guy till the end of time, I guess, and just keeping him at bay, making sure that he can never come out and hurt any kid of Bloodhaven ever again. And I thought it was really compelling, but it's really just sad to see this Nightwing Prime character. He's saying, yo, Nightwing, like, go without me, man. Like, I'm happy. Like, I'm doing exactly what I want to do. Like, I'm helping kids every single day. And I'll be honest with you, it kind of brought tears to my eyes. Like, at this point right here, where one of the kids who was saved by Nightwing Prime down in the fifth dimension, this kid calls Nightwing over and explains to Nightwing, like, hey, the Nightwing Prime down there, he asked me to tell you that he's all right. He's keeping the door closed, the monsters at bay. And what he's doing, it's better than anything he ever hoped for here. It's good. So it's just like, man, I'll have to see if Dan Waters like picks up this string, and I would want Nightwing to go and try to save this Nightwing Prime kid however he can. But, I guess it remains to be seen if that's something that Dan Waters wants to have Nightwing doing. And then we know that at the very end here in the epilogue, there's this new crime boss guy who's starting to spin up. He's probably going to be the next big villain in the Nightwing series. And I'm kind of hoping that Dan Waters gets this Nightwing series back to, some of it's like darker, detective, sort of more grounded sort of take that he had in the first arc. I'm not a big fan of the fifth dimensional, like sort of wackiness, right? And this was about like as wacky as I want the series to get. So hopefully they don't get even more wacky in the next arc and they kind of take it back to that first arc where I feel like it was really just, you know, Dan Waters, Dexter Soy, and it was Nightwing doing some detective sort of stuff, right? So yeah, hopefully they get back to that. But regardless, I think this Nightwing series is one to add to your pull list if you don't have it already. And next up, we got 4 things to talk about, so we'll get through them pretty quickly. I didn't mean to go for comic book reviews for this long. All right, let's talk about Exquisite Corpses as the next comic book review. So Exquisite Corpses number 10, solid issue. The tournament's still going on. The players are still trying to kill each other. I thought that the art in this one, maybe not as good as the couple previous issues. It was pretty graphic though, as we see this girl who's like caught up in all this this barbed wire, and these 2 of the killers are kind of going at it while the girl's caught up in the barbed wire. Got pretty gory, got pretty vicious as we see the Fox lady, who's my pick to win the tournament, by the way. I called this way long time ago, so it's cool that she's still in the tournament fighting. She's using her teeth, bro. She's scripting stuff, scripting out body parts, and yeah, pretty interesting stuff there. The paramedic lady, the EMT, is sort of like the hero of the story. She's one of the civilians that is taking it back to the killers and taking it back to the evil organization that's running the tournament. She got the drop on one of the guys that controls stuff for the tournament, the groundskeeper, and, you know, took him out. So yeah, that's cool from our paramedic, you know, lady, the hero of the story here. And yeah, it's kind of just a setup for, they have a run-in, some of the characters have a run-in with this evil Randy, the strangler guy who wears a bunny costume. So yeah, I would say not the best issue of the series so far. It's an interesting series in that every single issue, everybody's story only moves up like incrementally, right? Because you have all these different story threads that are going on at the same time. So everybody can only have a little bit of story progression or a little bit of character development. So every issue doesn't seem like a ton is happening. But if I look at the past 10 issues, it's been a really fun and enjoyable ride. It's just, yeah, I don't know, maybe it's not the best month-to-month reading experience. If you guys have the opportunity to read Exquisite Corpses in a trade, maybe that's the better way to read it, quite possibly. But yeah, I'll never not pick up a James Tynion single issue pretty much. But let's talk about Fantastic Four really quickly. So this was about a sort of like an alternate version of the Fantastic Four, and it's kind of like the alternate version's origin story, right? So they go through, it's, you know, that Reed and the rest of the Fantastic Four discovers that Sue might have these more powers than they thought she had previously, and then it goes through. But then this version of Sue, there's something bad that happens. She has like a nightmare in her dream, and when she wakes up, it turns out she's accidentally killed like every human on Earth. So I'm like, okay, this isn't our Sue, right? This is something even crazier. She has Johnny burn the part of her brain that like feels remorse for what she did. So she's like, hey, listen, I can't stop the fact or reverse the fact that I killed all the humans, but burn it out of my head that I feel bad about it. So he does that, and then she kills her own brother, I guess, and then she kind of turns into a villain, as we see right here. So this is what Galactus was trying to warn the Fantastic Four in trying to get Sue to come and like, hey, search for Sue Storm. He sent out this message, right? So Fantastic Four were following up on it and like, yo, Galactus, what'd you need, bro? Turns out Galactus was like, hey, there's this evil version of Sue Storm who has this crazy villain origin story, and she's coming, and her name is the Invincible Woman. Yeah, Ryan North, this new version of Sue Storm. I'm interested to see what kind of havoc she'll play, and it seems like she's way more powerful than Sue. I'm not sure, but she has, you know, qualms about using her powers for evil, it seems like, right? So an evil version of Sue, we'll have to see how the Fantastic Four deals with that. I thought this was a solid issue from Ryan North and Humberto Ramos. Let's keep it going, talk about G.I. Joe issue 19. I thought that this was a great issue because it's following the Dreadnought War. We know that Duke is upset about the fact that some members on his team were in cahoots with a Transformer and they didn't let him know. But Duke doesn't understand that, yo, there's the Autobots and then there's the Decepticons, right? So there's a difference. The Decepticons killed your friends, so you shouldn't be racist or whatever against, xenophobic against the Transformers like the Autobots, right? But anyways, we know that this guy here Colonel Hawk, I think his name is. He is secretly a member of the Dreadnoks. His name is Zartan. He's one of the big villains in the G.I. Joe universe. So he's kind of playing both sides right now at the same time that Duke is dealing with this Transformer stuff. Some members of the G.I. Joe group, they're on another mission and they're running into Scrap Iron, I believe. So a new villain getting introduced into the story as some members of the G.I. Joe are off on another mission. Yeah, just a solid like first issue to the arc, you know, following the Dreadnought War stuff and just setting up the pieces that will be messing around with Josh Williamson and the team in the next couple issues. So really solid stuff here with G.I. Joe number 19. I'm just in love with G.I. Joe, man. I really do think that at this point, I might drop Transformers, bro. Like after this arc, if it doesn't do something crazy, I might be dropping the Robert Kirkman Transformers series. Last but not least, let's talk about Wonder Woman issue 30, last comic book review for today. This was the end of the two-parter, Stephanie Williams written with Jeffrey Spokes on the art. And it was like a fun little 2-issue thing, right? So Diana, she went off island. She said, hey, you know, my family in Themyscira, can you guys watch over Trinity for me? I gotta go and just be chilling because being a mom is hard work. And while the other members of the Wonder Woman family are trying to take care of Trinity, this bad guy Eris, she's messing with all of their minds and making them all more aggressive and say things that they don't mean. And this was really just a story of all the Wonder Woman characters just coming together and, you know, fighting their inner demons and just, you know, I don't know. At the end of the day, like they're all sisters and it's like the womanhood and the camaraderie and that's what makes them great sort of thing. So I was liking the message that Stephanie Williams was giving us. It's a full sort of look at all the members of the Wonder Woman family, like all the Wonder Girls, Anubia, and some other members of Themyscira going up against Eris. And it was just a nice little, you know, 2-issue short thing. It was nothing too crazy. I do got to say though, Jeffrey Spokes' artwork, listen, if you want to come and be the main Wonder Woman artist, like I would not be mad at that. I think Jeffrey Spokes has a really cool art style. And yeah, I thought this was just a short little beautiful story wrapped up in 2 issues and we just see them all having a great time at the end of the day. So yeah, I guess right here it's it continues in the Wonder War. So it seems like Eris, she got up with something that she was trying to get, like a little seed, and maybe that seed will grow into something more evil in the next couple issues. We'll see what Tom King and Daniel Sampere pick up from the threads on this one. So yeah, Wonder Woman number 30, pretty decent stuff there. And that'll do it for the weekly comic book reviews. A lot of great stuff reviewed in this video. New DC Vertigo title, end of an era for Ultimate Spider-Man, and some great stuff from Marvel Comics. Where the hell? Oh, there it is. And of course, Absolute Batman was the pick of the week. Loving that look at Absolute Poison Ivy. So that's what we got for the comic book reviews. New Comic Book Weekly is a live show that I do every single Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. I talk about the previous week's weekly comic book reviews. I also talk about the current week's pull list, everything I'm looking forward to that week. And then we do a giant big old topic live with you guys, the audience. So this past week, we talked about the DC solicits and we had a great time doing it, man. So catch me every single Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern for New Comic Weekly. You can be like those in the chat. We got Paul Dev, we got Uncapped, we got Ethan Johnson, we got a lot of people like, we got Named, we got Christopher Allen, he was here earlier, we got Bricks Meter, right? Derek Seaborn, of course. So a lot of fun people joining for a New Comic Book Weekly, and you can join them too every single Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Thank you guys for watching, and yeah, another New Comic Book Weekly. So yeah, shout out to everybody for watching live, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.